Hey guys, we're here for part 2 of the Five Nights at Freddy's breakdown. So, I accidentally said in the beginning, the last part, that I was going to make chapters. Chapters will be put in this video. But basically, last time it took forever to do the finale part. So I think I'm going to go over the Easter eggs of this one. So we're going to go over the Easter egg and references, explain that as a whole thing. And then we'll go into my thoughts about why people don't care so much for the film, but you should care about the film. And then I'll go into theories about what's going to happen in the next film, the third film, and how the story is actually going to be relevant to other stories. So anyways, let's get into cameos. The cameos, there was so small about them, but they happened. So we had Corey Kenshin, the great samurai. This guy was a taxi driver once when he was with Golden Freddy and Abby trying to get to Night 5, the finale. And he was also in a mid-credit scene with the BB jump scare. So, Corey, good job. Sadly, we had a lot of the other big Five Nights at Freddy's YouTubers not take place a lot as a cameo. We had Dawko, 8-Bit Ryan, Razbowski, and Baz, a part of the Employee of the Month calendar, where it showed a bunch of people and other creators on it. I'm trying to remember. I think they said like another gamer. I think it was Fusion Z. There was a few other people on there, but there was a bunch of YouTubers, including Dawko and 8-Bit Ryan, on that little poster. It got smashed by, I think, not Hank, the brother of Max. He smashed that and then went into the security thing. And through the, what are they called? The, one of Dawko and 8-Bit's, they kind of go over to that, hey, these are our pictures in there. Sadly, they didn't show up, but they were seen. Next, going on with Matt Pat. You lied to us. He is playing Ness, the waiter, during the conversation at a diner with between Max and the aunt, explaining that she was a spy in the Mike's household. And then they talk about going in and breaking in and making Mike look bad here. Matt Pat comes in and tries to have them order food, and they don't want it, so Matt Pat actually gets to have a little bit of a, that's just a theory. You're too much. And the fact that Ness is actually a Easter egg to his video, Ness is Sans, is hilarious. Anyways, so there's only two people that a lot of the Five Nights at Freddy's community was hoping was going to be a part of this. One of them was controversial, but we wished. Actually, there's a lot of people. We wished we could have had the Fanverse game developers be a part of it. I don't know if they were. It's very possible the people that still had a relationship with Scott, like Kane, could have showed up somewhere. But anyways, we also have Hex, Dawko's. There's a lot of merch references like Pello Freddy, the Chica mask, and Dawko's Hex plushies. But we are missing the game developers. We are missing Smike, who used to do top 10s and other informationals. I think he started a lot of that content that turned into a theory-based thing, and he kind of had like the facts of Freddy's. He got in trouble, I think, for showing fan art that wasn't his, and I think several videos got taken down, and a lot of people didn't like him after that. But he showed up during one of the bigger parts of, I think it was Five Nights at Freddy's, I think it was Fnaf 6 or Sister Location, that they took a bunch of the game theories. It was Game Theory, Smike, and then they had like Dawko and a lot of other people be a part of it and talk about it. And I think that was the last big part for Smike to come back as a Five Nights at Freddy's person, but he was such a recognized person. And I wish Mike would at least have some kind of reference in there. Markiplier was the last person that a lot of people wish was a part of this movie. He apparently was going to be a part of the movie. You know, he is the king of Five Nights at Freddy's. But we didn't get him because, sadly, there was a schedule conflict with him being the director and acting in Iron Lung, which is a horror movie he's making soon that has like a chance to have a record breaking of the most blood in a movie. Good sir, but apparently, thanks to Matt Pat's video going over the fact that he was in the movie, he mentioned he saw a post of Markiplier being a cast member, and it showed that he was supposed to be the security guard in the beginning of the movie. That guard that died and was able to loosen the screw for Mike later. Apparently, that was supposed to be Markiplier. That would have been such a good scene, you know, someone hitting the door trying to get into the thing. I already felt once I started noticing that was supposed to be Markiplier's part. I seen where they were going to come from for his part. Was like the nervous, oh god, I'm going to die. And then get into the vents, make him have like the nervous sounds. And then, oh god, when Foxy runs down the hallway at him, just like have him do like, no, like his classic faces. It would have been so good to have a classic Markiplier scream session with him. That would have been such a good part for him. So I think that's where we were coming from for the Markiplier's part. And sadly, we didn't get that due to the schedule conflicts. But that's just a theory. Again, that would be a film theory. So it's just a theory, a film theory. So anyways, yeah, so we had a bunch of the original theorists like Dawko, 8-Bit, Raz, and Baz be a part of it alongside like Corey and Matt Pat, but sadly scheduling with Mark, and I don't think we had any like reason to have any of the others, but it would have been nice for like Smike and the developers. Anyways, we're going on to the Easter eggs and references. I think I had several notes on a lot of these other parts that mention stuff, so I'll go back to them for a little bit. So Easter eggs, references, and all that are right here. So the nature noises in the Nebraska poster are, like I said, the environment that makes him Mike be able to have the dream sequences. That's why there was a Nebraska poster above him, and he had the Walkman with like the nature sounds, and that's why he brought 2 Freddies. And then if you guys go into the games, like in Five Nights at Freddy's 6, there's the Chica's high school adventure. She explains that she makes an excuse and a distraction to take someone home with her, and it seems like there's a bad thing that happens. Apparently that was supposed to be William Afton slowly getting kids to come with him, and he lies to them like, hey, I got some cake for you, come in the back. A big thing that I'm thinking personally is that Frisbee that Mike sees and he picks up to try to, return it to someone. I think that was William trying to divert Mike's attention to get Garrett away from him. So I will mention the whole thing about Mike's dad later on. That's a big part of my theories. Oh, being sick sucks. Oh, during that, when Mike went to go beat down on the dad, apparently I'm thinking that's supposed to be a reference to the lawsuits, like between him beating on the dad and all those, like, infamous work habits. I think that was supposed to be a reference to the lawsuits you see in Five Nights at Freddy's 6. Like, hey, this happened and it's all your fault. So you have to deal with it. I'll mention about the ant. The ant. I think the ant was supposed to play a bigger part of it. I think the ant wasn't acting out of something. I have a theory about why the ant was there, and I'll mention that in my theories. Let's see. I think that's it for that. Oh, so that jump scare on like night 3 during the dream sequence, I think it was the Bonnie boy. When he gets grabbed by Mike and turned around, he has a jump scare with his eyes going black and tears that are black. That is supposed to be a crying child poster reference. During most of the Easter eggs where there's spirit children, it's mostly a callback to the vibe children. So in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, there's normally posters of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, but they get there's a rare sighting of them becoming the crying child posters, which is just kids screaming with tears going down their eyes. I believe that's what the jump scare is supposed to be. In this, that's actually one of the better parts. I'll bring that up in like the my understanding, my thoughts about it is that is supposed to be what a lot of people thought was going to need to be in the movie for them to understand it completely. And that was a fan-based thing that needed to be in the movie for it to be successful, and it was. All right, so there's that. That's it for night 5. All right. So I think that's it for all the stuff that was in my notes. So we have Sparky, who was one of the original hoaxes in Five Nights at Freddy's 1. I think it was a month or two, not even a month, I think it was weeks into Five Nights at Freddy's 1 being so popular that there was a hoax of a screenshot of I think the Game Over screen or the back room, and it had a dog animatronic in like the crease of the door popping in a little bit. And that was known as Sparky the Dog, and that was one of the most famous hoaxes that has ever plagued Five Nights at Freddy's. It was so good and so well done that people just didn't know if it was true or not. And Scott has actually mentioned that is one of the parts of the fandom that he likes, is that someone can make it so convincing, and they do it just because they love the game, or they want to do something with the fandom, and it did so well that he's like, okay, that character is something that the fans will love. Scott, you said you will never make someone in the fandom ever canon to the games. He did not say canon to the movies, so I think that's what he was doing a loophole with, is that Sparky, his name was on the restaurant that you see with Matt Pat. It's Sparky's. And then we also get to see him as an animatronic, I think a Springlock animatronic that I think Hank gets put into. One of the friends of Max. He gets stuffed, and he's seen in the back room with like a dog bone collar. And then... a reference to the Silver Eyes. The introduction of the Silver Eyes is Charlie, the daughter of Henry in the books, and I think the games now. She goes hiding behind the arcade games in the very beginning of the book, and Abby hides behind the arcade. And then her going into the pit is Into the Pit, the Fazbear Frights story. And then Williams, I Always Come Back. That is from the Five Nights at Freddy's trailer, and that's him from, I think, Fnaf 6 had him say that. Scrap Trap coming in and saying, I always come back. And it's basically a saying for William at that point. And it's basically, he kills, comes back, kills again. He gets becomes a corpse inside of a bunny costume, comes back, and then he comes back again after trying to get torched twice. And also like a virtual version too. Okay, so with that said, then we get the Ella animatronic. This was the animatronic you see Abby try to get stuffed into by Chica, and this is also the animatronic that Vanessa mentions the explanation for spring locks and takes a broom handle off. This is supposed to be a character from the Fazbear Frights story known as 125, I think it is, where it was a doll that would hunt you down and like an alarm would go off. So it ended up scaring a woman into a like drain pipe where she couldn't exit, and basically that woman died there, thinking she was so like nervous to get out of there that she just died in that little space. And then Ella was also shown in the Silver Eyes trilogy of books as like so in the books, Charlie dies to William Afton early in life, and her emotions stick to Ella the doll, and Henry uses that to kind of make robots with that kind of like imbued soul kind of idea. And basically, like, Ella was the original for this kind of scenario, and I believe this was supposed to be our version of Baby. Because there's Eleanor in the Fazbear Fright books, but I believe this is supposed to be Ella, because Ella is a very big part. She's also, I think her head was used as the Stitch Wraith's head. Anyways, going on, we have Purple / Shadow Freddy. He's an Easter egg character from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, rarely saw in the parts and service room, and was an Easter egg in the unlisted video you found after beating Freddy in Space 3. Now he's a spare animatronic that was found alongside Sparky, and is also the one that was stuffed with Max. Max is stuffed into the Purple Freddy suit. And I believe that was explaining that in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, in the In-Between Night minigames, Purple Freddy would lure one of the animatronics to the back with William, and I think that was supposed to say that, you know, the Freddy spirit was luring Max back, so another Freddy was luring her back to get put into the Purple Freddy suit. Going on Dream Theory. Originally, I said this was a scientific thing that, you know, got Mike going into how he made that dream come true of trying to figure out Mike Garrett's fate. This was actually a dream theory that some of the Five Nights at Freddy's community, especially Matt Pat during Five Nights at Freddy's 4 era of gaming, this was the fact that Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was in the nightmare of a child, and that I think one of the things that a lot of people know about is something is scarier, or something can be like it can be a lot worse than what it is perceived to be, and in the mind of a child, it can be a lot worse. So if you see a nail, that child could think of tooth, and that's what the nightmare animatronics are supposed to be. So when a child recognizes what Freddy's is and starts seeing little things like spring lock suits and people getting stuffed in them, he can make a story for himself, where the first 3 games were just a story of the animatronics, and that the nightmares were just going to be him getting tortured by this thought of what Freddy's was. So that's what Dream Theory was. A kid who watched the events of Freddy's and thought that what happened was going to happen to people with like security jobs and stuff. Steve Raglan, a.k.a. William Afton, had a lucky rabbit's foot on his keychain. Steve also said a phone guy line, which is, "I'll catch you on the flip side." During the teacher's talk with Mike about, you know, hey, drawings can perceive what the child actually says, on the chalkboard it says bear, rabbit, chick, and fox, and it also says the puppet. It has a reference to the freaking puppet. Another part of my theory we'll get to later. Mike is jump scared by BB twice. Once when he first enters and becomes a security guard, gets the hoodie jacket, and he's right there, and he turns him around. "You annoyance" from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. "You annoy me, taking away my flashlight battery." And then he also goes to the security closet, I think, night 3. So I think that's when all the group that try to break in and stuff, I think it's believed that Hank died there, and he went to go see what was in that closet, and BB was there too, and he said annoyance. And then, of course, we also see him in the Corey Kenshin mid-credit scene. This was thanks to Dawko. I did not know about this one. They're on the tape that introduces the security guard to the job at Freddy's. It had Mike on it, but underneath was a faded Fritz. So, Fritz was... Who was the previous guard? The one that died in the beginning. So that was probably Fritz Smith, the person you played in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 on night 7. So it's believed that that might have been the night guard for probably the rest of Five Nights at Freddy's 1 timeline-based stuff. It is really taking my voice out. Like I said, I'm not feeling good. Anyways, so after that, so now we know that Fritz might have a face. We just need Jeremy. Jeremy, and we got the trilogy of security guards. In the dream sequences that Mike sees, there's several points where the kids' faces are blurred, and you can your eye catches it happening. There's like a wavy effect on it. The "It's me," the classic "It's me" message is on the mirror inside the security office. That's a part of my theory later on. Next, we have Tina the Endo. So I think this was known as Tina. This is Endo 01 originally in the games, but the crew of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie has called an endoskeleton Tina, and Tina is supposed to be their Scott's version of putting a Easter egg in the movie that happens occasionally. I think Shadow Bonnie was the most occurring character, so Tina is the most occurring character you can find throughout the movie. There's several different parts that she's in. I think that she's in the introduction movie. She's a part of the spare animatronics. She's in the background of the when you look at the camera where all three of the characters are there. She's in one of the images. So Tina the endoskeleton. She also was a Easter egg alongside Purple Freddy in the unlisted video from Freddy in Space 3. Max dies to Freddy bringing her in, and when she goes to look inside the animatronic, she gets pulled in and then chomped. She apparently didn't read the Freddy Fazbear rules. One of the rules is don't take a crap, but also don't touch Freddy. Never touch Freddy. She touched Freddy, and that's the consequences, is she got bit. There's 3 bites a part of the Freddy's lore. Hell, even in Five Nights at Freddy's 6, there's even an Easter egg to one of the animatronics failing and just snapping one of the guests. And it took the frontal lobe. So instead of the frontal lobe, he takes the entire upper half of Max. Cupcake kills Carl. So out of the 2 friends, so there's Max's brother, Hank, and then we have Carl, the guy with the Midnight Motorist shirt, which is a callback to the Five Nights at Freddy's 6 minigame that has the car that ends up leading to be Purple Guy's car and explaining the whole, runaway kid thing. Anyways, Carl was the fan name for the cupcake. Carl the Cupcake. And Carl was getting killed by Mr. Cupcake because Mr. Cupcake's the true name by actual canon. So the fact that Carl is being killed by the cupcake is funny. Chica's Rainbow in the ice cream shop in the mall that in the very beginning of the film where Mike's working at a mall. When he goes to get an ice cream, there's Chica's Rainbow there. And then the last two things that are a part of the credits, which are amazing, the Living Tombstone, Five Nights at Freddy's 1, the most played Five Nights at Freddy's song probably to this point, and a lot of people know it, was played during the credits and was amazing. The last thing that actually I barely knew in another Dawko callback. One second. Okay, I'm cleared up a little bit. Okay, so Dawko mentioned this one, and there is actually the puppets, like, I think his grandfather clock or something like that. It's like the puppets, da, 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 the music for the music box is playing in the credits. So, before I get into my theory, which is crazy, but it is very understandable because it's Five Nights at Freddy's, let's go on to my thoughts. I know this is probably going to be a longer video than the first part, the summary video, but we are actually going over the fact of the thoughts. So I think most people that don't like this movie, one, this movie is now being, most people are presenting this as a fan movie. It's no longer pointing to a new audience, which there can be a new audience because it was cool. Like, an animatronic being possessed. There's paranormal people, there's horror people, there's action people. There's going to be some people that are hooked and kind of want to learn more about this franchise. My friend was a part of it. He knew little about the franchise, and he loved the movie. So this will still bring a new audience, but the fans probably got a better understanding of this movie than most. And I think, here's my part. Matt Pat said this, Matt Pat didn't say this to a T, but on one of his latest videos, he said, on Game Theory, why do you hate my theories? And it's based on the two different mindsets. People who just take info and present it as it is. Like, they don't look too deep into it. They don't take it in multiple ways. Where the people like Matt Pat take it and kind of run around every single little avenue. Just like, does this make sense? Does this make sense? Oh, there's connections here. I think the people who have those connections, like they can make connections in the movie, is probably going to be the one with the most enjoyment out of this movie. Because if you can look through the film and understand the little bits of lore that a normal movie person will understand, like, you don't need to be a part of Five Nights at Freddy's. You can figure out that this movie has multiple callbacks and stuff to itself. So you don't have to know Five Nights at Freddy's to understand that there's stuff that if you take attention to the movie, it pays off later. So here's my thing. So first of all, like I was saying, if you didn't notice in the very first, who was supposed to be Markiplier, that security guard Fritz undoes the screw, and later on, that bolt would not have been completely ready for Mike to undo if you did not notice that in the beginning of the movie. Unscrewing that is a very big part of the movie. Mike would have died if it weren't for that previous night guard. Then there's the things like the Lucky's rabbit's foot, that kind of from Steve's keys, that can tell you that Steve should be associated with a rabbit from now on. And then his nervous little laughs, like the sorry. Ooh. That should tell you that he's kind of nervous about explaining the whole scenario. Vanessa, you can kind of tell a few cues because she's not completely hiding her knowledge. Like, she's like, I have knowledge, but I won't tell you, and she'll make it completely obvious. Like, it's kind of like having a joke in the room, and you're not the one understanding it. There's also a lot of little things that are in the background. Like, if you don't see this coming, there's actually like a chica walking past a fan in the kitchen. so you can figure out that she's going to be coming in or having a presence of that kitchen when Carl was getting killed. And then, like, when Mike went to go to when he was cleaning off after that break-in, Hank left a blood-stained handprint on the glass, and the blood trickled down. There was a little bit of blood left for Mike to see. Let's see what else. You would not have recognized Carl if you didn't know that his face got basically chewed off. So Carl being on the floor later in the movie, you wouldn't understand the connection to the animatronics if you weren't a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. Like the spare animatronics like Ella, Sparky, Purple Freddy, that kind of stuff. And then I think, like, the problem with the biggest part of the movie is that people have a problem with Mike's dream theory kind of situation. People, they don't repeat a lot. They're like, oh, they tell the same thing over and over again. They tell it twice and then cut a huge chunk out of it. They tell his story completely in one take. Then when he starts going to Freddy's, they cut like the whole conversation with the family very short, have him already go with his brother, and at the very end, they show the kids. Then they cut the entire picnic scene, and him being out there is when they start. They slowly cut off the repeating things, just so he's already knowing where he's supposed to focus. It's his mind recognizing that this is the most prominent part that he needs to be a part of, and people are criticizing that. I'm sorry, but that's actually how minds freaking work. If you reapply your mind to certain things, you start noticing things little by little. Your mind doesn't just not some people can, but not everyone can just take an entire scene and understand everything at once. You have to constantly revisit and negotiate with your mind about that situation to understand every little detail. So, to be a true detective, you go back, figure out the little things you know at the beginning, then go back and kind of say, there's a connection here. That's the whole thing about dream theory. And in dream theory, also, throughout the Freddy's expansion, the introduction of the kids. Then the kids, then Mike knows to start looking for the kids. Then Golden Freddy starts understanding, I should kind of stay back because this person is recognized by Abby, who's a friend of ours, so I need to kind of stay with him to have him understand situations. So it's the progression of understanding of the situation, and also progression on how these spirits feel about Mike. And then also, like, a lot of people hated on William and Vanessa. Vanessa, understandable. She has some kind of mental problem because it looks like she helped kill a lot of the people throughout the years, and she kept her mouth shut. So I believe, if I can think about it, either in the games, it's thought that William may have killed his wife, or, he's done something to one of the, people in front of one of the kids, or hell, he may have killed the kids in front of Vanessa, and, she took it as, if I say anything, he'll do that to me. So he backed her into a corner, scared her, and said, you're my daughter, you're supposed to kind of help me out with this. So he basically, not brainwashed her, but scared her stiff. And that's kind of what happened in the movie, is like, she started to, go along with it, do the normal thing, doesn't want any part of, fighting against her father, and then recognizes that Mike has actually been affected by her father's stuff, and she wants to help. And now that she also knows that she has a sister, she's like, I have to help now. I have to do something. I have to say, stop doing this. Stop looking. I want you to live. So she slowly puts interest in Mike and starts actually giving him some respect and actually care. And at the very end of the movie, she's like, I cannot, live with the thought of, I've grown a little bit of attachment to these two siblings, Hell, she may have a sibling that, was lost through the years. And she's like, hey, that was me before. I should try to be, better and try to fix a family somewhere. So I think the fact that Vanessa is slowly getting attached, it's character freaking progression. It is a story. Leave it alone. William, I've mentioned this before. A lot of people don't like a lot of the people believe as William is very intelligent, very charismatic, that he could get away with a lot of stuff, and he was very smart and could, there's a reason why he got away with what he did. And it is shown in the intro with the 8-bit scenes that he played to the kids' fantasy to get them away from others to, kill them. And then in his fight with Mike, he gets egotistical and he gets, proud of what he's doing. That is the William Afton the fandom has gotten used to, and people hate him, apparently. And I am done with it. It's just like, stop reading it as just, this is not the William Afton. Like, a lot of people wanted William to freaking Dafoe to be that. Sure, that'd be amazing, but guess what? We got Shaggy, and he played Stu, which, that is very close to a William Afton persona. So I would be okay with it. And he did pretty good. And, being like, I think he was trying to basically outsmart Mike about things. And basically, it's just like, that William Afton is the one, sure, we don't know a lot about, but it shows a little bit of him. I'm going to get back into the theory about what I think Five Nights at Freddy's 2, so people can, hopefully think that it's a good idea to watch this movie and wait for the next one. William Afton, Vanessa, Mike and them. Autistic Abby theory, real quick, is that a lot of people think that she's very spastic, kind of not a normal kid, but I think it's mostly the fact that she has a supernatural connection. That's what people think that she's autistic. No, she has some kind of spiritual sense. So I think the fact that she's got that she doesn't see herself completely fitting in. I'm socially awkward. I have problems. I have ADHD. I don't completely want to be in... I don't think I'm going to be a part of a normal society. So it's just the fact that that's how it is. It kind of explains it in the background that, hey, she's talked to these spirits for a while. It's possible that that's why she's kind of the outcast of school and all that. The aunt, I'll explain in the theory. Max and them are kind of background characters. I will agree with people that Max, a lot of her stuff has been cut. Apparently, the actors mentioned that there was stuff that was cut out of her scenes. And it's dumb because Max looked like she actually may have cared about Mike and Abby. But, she'd rather get paid than anything. So she's more greedy than, helpful. So it would have been nice to understand her side of things, but a lot of stuff got cut, and it looks like you're not going to expand on Carl and Hank, but the other two, they were looking like they were supposed to be main characters and have some kind of relationship with the aunt and Mike, but no, that didn't really go anywhere. I understand that point. That's where my ratings of last video, I said 3.5, 7, 8. Because, there are characters that got thrown away. But William, Vanessa, the main characters that mattered are the stars of the show. And, saying why would the kids, help the killer if they already knew it? They didn't know it. In multiple supernatural shows, they explain that most of the victims never understand why they died. For their souls to be at peace, most times they have to learn of why, how, and where they died. So, how and what killed them. So, the fact that, the only thing they knew before they died was a yellow Bonnie promising fun or a good time. And they see that picture and said that memory was true. and they can't remember that he brought them to die. Which, another theory about Golden Freddy, but I'll refrain for it right now. So there was that. I explained that, hey, if I'm a dad or a mom looking for my kid and my kid's lost, I will go kind of aggressive to find my kid. So it's understandable about the father being a little aggressive with the kid. It's understandable that a trauma reflection would make Mike think that, someone's about to get kidnapped, and he would actually be more aggressive than just say, hey, are you guys okay? No, he would. That's a situation that he knows too well, so he jumps to it. Understand why he's bad with jobs. The whole Steve Raglan part I'll mention in the theories, because that sounds a lot better. We don't really learn about the parents a lot. Garrett, we don't really get to know a lot about either. He kind of just is a kid that's playing with his plane. So basically what I think is, for right now, we have a glimmer of what William Afton is, what William Afton can do. We got a little bit of it. Just like his ego side and his, how he gets away with that murder is shown in the movie, but not, a large amount is shown of him. Vanessa, her character progression is shown, but not a lot of people notice it. Same with the kids, same with Mike. Him being obsessed with the mystery of his brother missing, and kind of not caring about everything else in his life, kind of catching up with him. But that's really it for most of it. So that was my thoughts. So basically, hey, if you have a problem with the movie, go back and watch it, or just don't watch it at all, because it's just. Don't go bad-mouthing a movie because your mindset doesn't pick up little things like that. You didn't enjoy it. That's your taste. Just do not go bad-mouthing it. You can have your opinions. Just don't start hate-criming it. Anyways, going on to our theory section. I'm past part 1's time, but I need to get this done. So, what it looks like is happening with this movie universe is that I think they're setting up the Silver Eyes / Fazbear Fright kind of setup. Because we got Ella, we got a dog animatronic, we got the purple animatronic, and then having endoskeletons and all that other stuff. I believe, here is my theory, is that people other than me have this theory too, is that Mike's father is supposed to be our Henry Emily to this universe. And that he was either the person who was a background helper with William. William was the poster boy for Freddy Fazbear's, so people associated him with it. But Henry, or Michael's father, was in the background making the animatronics and stuff. And, reason why a lot of people pick up on this is that, one, there's a scene in the introductory tape for the security where there's a person looking like his father or William working on an animatronic. Two, during the Steve Raglan scene, he mentions, when he says his name is Mike Schmidt, William sits with that a little bit. The fact that he's I recognize that name. He has some history with a Schmidt. So I think when William's throwing it around, I think he says, this is someone, one, I took out his brother, two, I worked with his father, and he may be trying to, put a, he's going to be a prick in my ass. So I think he's I'm recognizing that this person might be a problem. If anything is going to happen, I might want to get rid of him. So I think there was other job options, but the fact that he's a Schmidt, that he gave him the Freddy's job, he's I'm going to give you a good job, sir. I want to get rid of you. So I think probably what happened with the father. So either two things. it doesn't really explain what happened with the father. It just says after the mom was passed that he couldn't take it anymore. So I think there's two things that could happen by Five Nights at Freddy's 3. That either that William has killed the father and kind of framed that he died or did something to himself. Two, that when he pulls a Henry from the games and disappears and reappears for the ending. You know, like, hey, I need to step back and, deal with my emotions. And then when I start noticing things aren't put to rest, he'll come back and try to put a stop to it. And then there's the third option where in the Silver Eyes trilogy that Henry makes a endoskeleton to stab him and just end him. Because I think in the books, he loses his daughter, he makes the robots, his wife leaves him, and he thinks that it's over, and he kind of, Suruku. So there's my thoughts. So basically what I'm thinking is that we're going on a book basis. So I think Mike's father is our Henry, that he's gone away until the end game, or he was killed by his own endoskeleton, or that William tried to deal with him, or did deal with him. Or maybe even if he dealt with our version of Henry, he may have dealt something with the mom, too. We don't fully know what happened with them. And why a lot of people are wanting to connect the father to the Henry is that most Henrys lose a kid, and it's mostly by William. And the other thing, the biggest thing that a lot of people are saying is that Garrett is going to be our puppet for the movieverse. And why is this being said is that, one, we see the puppet on the chalkboard. Two, we hear the music of the puppet in the credits. Three, we have Come Find Me. Who else in Springtrap is going to say Come Find Me? And most of the time when that voice of C-O-M-E, the puppet is involved with the mini game. The first one was Save Them, where the puppet was trying to get Freddy to come and save the other kids. I think there was a 10 kids thing from a birthday party, and he was trying to have them be saved, but Purple Guy stopped it in the end. I think this was supposed to be a failed attempt, and I believe this is what we're going to see in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And I'll mention my movie theater things. But I believe that Garrett was killed and was the very first victim of William, and that maybe Vanessa saw this, and basically Garrett wanted revenge, so he tried to save the other kids and have them take over and possessed. It's also a big thing of, like, most Williams victims are still within what are, like, no matter what it is in any story, Fazbear Frights, Pizzaplex, or the trilogy of the Silver Eyes, Williams' victims do not just pass. There are some instances, like security guards, that they don't stick around, but most of the kids that William has made victims have stick around in most of the objects about Fazbear's franchise. So I believe the fact that 5 kids that went missing are the only ones to take up possession is ridiculous. I believe Garrett would be our puppet. So, with Mike's dad being our Henry, Garrett being our puppet / Charlie, and that basically William's going to have a lot more to do with the Schmitz than we realize. And here's a weird, wild theory that I have. If you guys read the books, it's going to trigger you. But in the trilogy of Silver Eyes, Charlie, Henry's daughter, thinks that Springtrap takes her brother, and her entire story arc is trying to find out where her brother is, where he died and who killed him, it's revealed by William Afton that he did not take no brother, that he took Charlie herself. And I think, if we're going to redo the books, that I think Mike actually died. It wasn't no Garrett. It's still going to be Garrett, but if we're going to go wild with our theories, I believe it's just like Mike thinks he saw his brother get taken, but it was actually Mike. And I think he is our human robot if we're going to do a book thing. I'm just saying, book thing is the lowest on my scale of things to happen. I think it's just the Garrett becomes puppet, and I'll explain my movie theories. Actually, moving on to the movie theories. So I think Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is a good thing. Here's my other thoughts about it. Is you keep thinking, I think is what's happening right now, is that everyone's stuck on the security breach, the help wanted, all these big universal games. They're not going back into the nostalgia that is Five Nights at Freddy's 1, where there's theories and hoaxes, and you are in the fandom to be like excited to mention it. Nowadays, it's like, don't touch it because it's too toxic. You can't have fun. Everything has a reason in the old games. There's same thing with now games, but like there was very little unused stuff for the story in the games. So I think Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was supposed to set up that nostalgic feeling of when we were in the first 6 games. Just this is how theories come about. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I believe, I didn't mention this, I think, in part 1. I think what we're going to do is either two things. One, we're going to have a prequel movie where it's going to be our Henry, Mike's father, is going to be our main protagonist. He might be the person that's actually kind of noticing this stuff. We might have a Jeremy be recognized. And I think that it's going to be basically like seeing what happened in 87. What actually happened during the missing kids and the very beginning of the puppet. And I think that's what we're going to have is just like, I think our Henry's going to notice that his son is in the puppet and he's going to try to do something about it. But I think William's going to either push him far away or something like that. So I think we're going to get a prequel movie. It's going to have Garrett show off. That's going to be the big thing. I think Garrett's going to become it. Or the other idea is that I think they said they were wanting to do 3 movies but try to get the first 6 done. So that would be confusing because for you to do what you just did with this movie, you would have to basically, this is what I think is probably going to happen, is that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is going to be flashback scenes. We're going to have Garrett become the puppet. We're going to have our Henry try to stop and do stuff, but, figure out what happened with the father. We're going to understand more about the parents completely. And then we're going to see more William Afton in his prime doing what he does best and try to be correct. His charm is going to show off. That is when I think our William Afton is going to shine. It's in his prime when all this stuff is a current occurrence, not his, it's been a few years, I've retired, I'm trying to go into hiding, no one's going to figure out what I am, and that I always come back is going to be understood at that point. And I think our main thing that's going to happen is we might have a time skip where they do make Fazbear Frights on top of the Fnaf 1 location, and they bring Springtrap as the main thing, and Mike notices that this is happening, so he needs to go back and try to stop William Afton from doing stuff. So I think it's going to be, I think in the Fazbear Frights books actually explains this good, is that every part of the Fazbear Frights building is got some kind of memory attached to it. So when someone touches Springtrap, like a hanging version of Springtrap, he's supposed to be like from Jeepers Creepers 2, you see like a man bat. When the creeper is put down, he's like a decoration for all people to see. When someone gets close to Springtrap in the books, like the agony that he brought upon everyone is like a memory. You feel the emotions. I think that's what's going to happen is that Mike's going to enter Fazbear Frights. He's going to slowly get the backstory of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So he's going to be dealing with Springtrap as his father, or Jeremy is going to deal with the understanding of like the other 10 kids that died, the missing kids incident, and that Garrett is the puppet. And I think the puppet is going to come into contact with Mike in the second movie and try to be like, I will help you, brother. I'm trying to stop this tragedy from befalling anyone else. And in the third movie, either we will get that final thing with Springtrap, which, that's... I don't think we're going to completely leave that out. But in the third movie, we're going to have to explain if there was any other kid to William, Elsa, and Vanessa. I believe you're going to have to do something with either Abby or Vanessa and make them become the circus baby. I think that might be what we see in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, is actually have the baby equivalent become a thing and kind of have... So Sister Location will be a backboard of it, have a little bit of a backstory with the crying child, or Evan as the fandom calls it, and kind of our main story is going to be Five Nights at Freddy's 6, and have like everyone come in and like Mike trying to stop it all. I think, like Scott was saying in the beginning of this movie news, is that this trilogy is going to have to be a Mike story. So the fact that we're getting hints that Garrett's going to be the puppet, I think for the long haul, Mike's going to need to be a part of it to make sure everything's done. And I think most likely in the second movie is that there's going to be a mistake happening where I think they were foreshadowing Abby becoming baby in that second movie. Or the fact that, William's daughter is normally the one that's in baby. So it's very possible that Vanessa gets killed and puts into an animatronic. So basically my thoughts are, if we're doing just a 3-movie, 3 Five Nights at Freddy's trilogies structure, it's going to be Five Nights at Freddy's 1, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The second one's going to cover Henry or Jeremy recognizing the murders of William Afton, and it's going to have Garrett first become the puppet, and we're going to have a backstory, and we're going to have William Afton in his prime. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is going to be a sequel where we have Mike recognize that his brother is in the puppet and that, William is going to be a part of the Fazbear Frights, so he needs to burn it down. Or we're going to do what everyone thinks the games were going to be, where it's going to be, well, not the games, the movies were going to be, is that Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was going to just set up the whole atmosphere in the whole world, where by the third movie we're going to have Five Nights at Freddy's 3. So in summary, it's basically just like 2 and 3 are going to be a part of the second movie, where there's going to be as Mike is dealing with Springtrap in Fazbear Frights, he's going to have memories told to him from probably Garrett of like, hey, this happened in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, where, William was in his prime, and he may have been the one that killed our father. Where I think the third film, to make it by Five Nights at Freddy's 6, is they're going to have one of the girls, either Vanessa or Abby, be a part of become our baby, and they're going to probably to introduce hey, Michael had another kid. Not Michael. William had another kid, and the whole reason why he became so killer is because his son or a second daughter died. And it's going to be a Henry plan where everyone comes together. And if Michael's father is still alive, he's going to come up in that movie. So I think the father either is going to be a part of the second movie and show how he died, or he's going to have some kind of cameo in the second one and him come back as the third one to finish it all. So, anyways, I've been talking too long. My ears are starting to plug up, and my voice is like damaged. So, anyways, that was my theories, my Easter eggs, my thoughts. So I'm gonna leave it in the description. To stop you from hating on this movie, think back to how you felt during the first 6 games. That is what this movie is supposed to kind of bring to you, is that nostalgic fandom. I think this movie was supposed to restart the fandom's thoughts on the games. So basically, hey, calm down, stop the toxic stuff. We're doing a new story. Focus on becoming a better, positive thing. I think that's what this movie is supposed to be. It's supposed to be making bringing the fandom back to the positive side that it originally started with. And enjoying the fact that you guys share a fandom is what this movie is supposed to present. Anyways, I'm gone. I gotta make food. I gotta do laundry. And I'm sick, so I'm done. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye. Like,